Hello, welcome to episode 2 of Target Metrics, where marketers get honest about what works and what does not work. My name is Leo, I'm your host. I'm with Angel, your co-host. And today on the screen, you can also see I am with one of my closest friends, Brian Lasonde. Say hi.
Hey guys, nice to meet you.
So,
All right.
Brian, how long have we been know each other?
Oh God, I was gonna say how long do you have? But no, we've known each other at what 15 years at least, Leo. Yeah, worked at some previous agencies together, worked on some side projects, and just always talking together about digital marketing, paid social, paid search.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we started out working at Location 3 Media. It's an agency in Denver. And Brian, I also got put on this show booked already, so we're very excited about
Nice,
what's coming up
awesome.
next. Yeah, 15 years. I vividly remember this time, Brian, about this time last year. You asked me a question. I want to pull it up. You asked me a question that many percentage of my work is handled by ChatGPT. Do you remember that? And you
I do.
also, Angel Brian also set up a LinkedIn survey trying to he literally was trying to mock me, trying to say how lazy I was. But I was like, dude, you're crazy not be using ChatGPT. Look at us
Yeah.
now.
Well, and I just gotta say quickly on that, Leo, that it was about this time last year. I was checking my LinkedIn posts, and I'm gonna repost it actually like this month
Dude,
because
let's do
so
it.
much has changed in the last year, and now I think the results are going to be completely different for myself and for a lot of other people. So yeah, dude, that's really funny. And yeah, the world has changed a ton in the last 12 months, right? With people adopting
Totally.
AI.
And speaking of change, I just want the audience to know why we invite you, Brian. So I would consider you as like a crazy scale king. Like I look at your company, PPCBoost. You guys go from with Delton, two-person small company, and now you have so many big whales, as we always call them, right? Well. So, but I actually much more interested in. I would consider you the king of e-commerce for B2B business because of some of the clientele you have and experience expertise. And it's an area where people don't often talk a lot. People just always about e-commerce, but they don't really think about B2B e-commerce, which is a very interesting niche. And I know you have a lot of experience on this, and that's what we're going to dive into today.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. And I can just speak a little bit to my experience with B2B ecom. You're right that not nearly as many people talk about B2B ecom as talk about D2C, right? You go on
Mhm.
LinkedIn, everybody's a D2C ecom expert. But yeah, just over the years, whether at previous agencies and then starting PPCBoost, we've just kind of initially fell into a lot of these like supplier industrial style ecom companies, which tend to be more B2B focused. And these are the guys that have catalogs of sometimes a couple million SKUs, half a million SKUs, 400K. I'm just thinking of a couple different ecom clients that we have that just have these really high SKU counts. Um, and the industries, as I mentioned, tend to be kind of industrial supplier. We've
Mhm.
had some in the medical space as well,
Sure,
selling
sure.
like $20,000 scientific freezers,
Nice.
and then also some other areas like like shipping supplies and kind of some of those niches as well.
So let's break it down
Yeah,
for our listeners. So what do you think is the fundamental difference between B2B and B2C, like sales funnel, like from a marketer's perspective?
yeah. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, the funnel's definitely very different, but I think the biggest thing is just in how you set expectations and how you have clear messaging, to attract business buyers versus just regular consumers, right? I think from a reporting kind of attribution standpoint, you have to look at the appropriate timeline, right? Like what I think one of the things with D2C ecom is you can learn really quickly, like what's working, what's not working.
Mm,
But a lot of
because
times
their buying
for
cycle is much shorter, right?
much
Much
shorter,
more.
right? Yeah, it might, maybe it's a couple days,
Or
maybe a
someone's
week on.
midnight surprising shopping online.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, we have one client, one of our bigger clients is commercial recycling, commercial trash cans, and their sales cycle can be anywhere from 1, 2 to 6 months, some even over a year. So I think for us, that's kind of the fundamental difference as how we approach B2B e-commerce is working with either the founder or the leadership team to have proper expectations of how we're going to measure success here, and not pivoting too quickly. If certain SKUs aren't selling that week, it doesn't mean let's cut them off next week and never advertise them again.
So let me just pause you there. It sounds, Angel, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I was gonna say like I want to really like because the conversations from a B2C client, right, and then going to like, hey, you're probably not gonna see this customer until the next 3 months, right? Like I
Yeah.
imagine those conversations are like extremely different. Like, do you find that you actually have to go into those situations educating the clients, or do you find that they actually know about this and that they do usually have the proper expectations, and that's more just about almost like repeating it, essentially just like showing them, hey, like, look, this is going to be a different channel. That sales cycle is still going to continue, and actually, you now have to, pay a little bit higher to acquire a customer. Like, how do you usually navigate those conversations?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I'd say it varies depending on how savvy they are. How savvy the founders are. I think a lot of them understand that the sales cycle is longer, but there's sometimes a disconnect with what we're doing in the ad platforms and connecting that to the customers that they're seeing. So that's where I think sometimes it can make sense to kind of go after micro conversions, instead of an actual conversion, right? Whether that's a PDF download, or not an actual sale yet, but just getting their information in your CRM to be able to market to them either over email or some other channels. Because we get one of the things that can be frustrating is, let's say we're launching a brand new campaign, something that maybe they haven't tested before. It could be demand gen on Google, it could be ASC on Facebook, and they have like no historical spend behind it. If we run it for 2 weeks and it doesn't get a conversion, a lot of the times they want to shut it down, right? Even though they know, hey, it's going to take 3 to 6 months. It's so that part, to your point, Angel, is just that constant education, and I think that's what the weekly calls, the bi-weekly calls are really for. Monthly calls, whatever your cadence is, of just reminding them, like, hey guys, like, we agreed to this, and if you have a client where they're maybe prone to doing that, what I like to do is say, all right, well, how much do you want to test? Let's say it's 10K. Let's not test that 10K all in the next 2 weeks or in the month, but let's do 90 days out, right? And let's commit to not pausing this campaign, because as we all know, it takes a lot of time to learn, especially with new campaigns, and even more so with B2B, considering the
So
longer
it
sales
sounds
cycle.
like what you were saying, and I think Angel was also thinking with what you're saying, is that it's a relationship, and also you,
Yeah.
Brian, sounds like you also saying that decision-making process is more complicated. You have more stakeholders in the room, and it takes longer for you to get a client as well as for them also to get a client at the same time. For
Right.
them, their client is a business decision higher involved. So here sounds like what you are saying, it's a typical pinpoints where there is a little bit of a mismatch, right? From what the ad is seeing and what the result, because if it takes longer and they are not tracking the right information, I think that's probably where things gonna fall off, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand, and it's kind of a nice segue into the tracking conversation, with B2B e-com. Because I think that's incredibly important is, you're not just tracking cart sales. Like with a D2C e-com brand, you're probably getting all of your sales just through cart sales, right? With B2B, e-com, a lot of the times the actual quote revenue is a significant part of that e-com business. I mean, we have some clients where they do 10 million a year in cart sales. They do 15 million a year in sales through those quote forms. And
Yeah.
I can't tell you the amount of times that we've audited a B2B e-com client, and they're not tracking the revenue coming from the quote forms. Like, they might see it in Salesforce or their CRM of choice, but they're not seeing it in Google Ads. And so you're looking at your campaigns and you're realizing you're looking at the return on ad spend or other metrics, and you're realizing you're missing out on a vast majority of that revenue because you're not pulling in that quote revenue into Google Ads. So I would say there's kind of three parts that we always look for. So we look for the cart sales, obviously, like, person goes on there, makes a purchase right away.
The North Star, yeah. You got to have
North Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the quote revenue too, because that's obviously, I'm not just talking about quotes, I'm talking about quotes that have closed actual sales. They just
I think it's also
that
important to establish the quote to actual sale relationship, right? Understanding that quality, and also have an understanding what the benchmark is, so you can have some certain expectation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think there's one other piece that we even have a few clients who just are kind of slow to do it, but phone call revenue, phone call sales, if that's a big channel for you, we do have some clients where like 95% of their revenue, maybe higher, is cart sales and from closed won quotes. So for them, it's not a huge priority, but if you are a B2B e-com where sales are happening over the phone, I think that's another piece that
it's a relationship. I'm surprised. I don't know what you see on your side, Angel. I'm surprised how many people are ignoring phone calls as an important lead gen. It's 2025. You not only can get very accurate score on likely ability for them to become a lead, you actually have a lot of indicator that you can learn from these phone signals. And we use call rail a lot. And I think like tools like that allows you to really sync like the call, actual lead with the ads directly, so you get like a very synced signal to allow that.
I was gonna say, I think the biggest thing is just like people will have like they'll have calls, like they'll have the phone number on their site. Sometimes I find a lot of time they're not even tracking the phone calls, so like that's always a thing. But I always like the fact, because like if someone comes in as a lead, right, like, and I'm wondering how you actually like differentiate this, because I ran into that same situation, which is like, hey, this client may only care about what's coming from the cart. And it's like you have to have a conversation with them and say, hey, well, you have all these quotes, 30 quotes coming in, 40 quotes coming in a month. Are they even turning into any type of sale, right? And I'm curious how you actually like differentiate that and have that conversation, because the immediate sales are happening, right? Like let's say the budget is $10,000 in a month. That immediate sale is going to happen. So you can see the return on that ad spend in that month. But these sales cycles that are 60 days long, that person's not going to see the return until 2 to 3 months. So I'm curious, like, do you report on sales qualified leads, or like how do you actually go and handle the conversation when you're, let's say, just sitting down with like an actual client?
Yeah, so it's going to vary by the client based on like the system that they have. But if we take one example, that commercial recycling, commercial trash can client, they're on Salesforce, and they have a whole slew of reports in there that we've worked with them to set up. We also even utilize Google Sheets if we need to, or Looker Studio if we need to do some kind of manual pivots off of that. But Salesforce, we have reports that show actual cart sales. We have reports that show kind of those leads, like you said, sales qualified leads that they haven't made a purchase yet. And then we have what I was referencing earlier, like what we call, or at least they call, like closed won quotes, like actual sales that have come in. And so you're right, it can be a little bit tricky when you're looking at like the current month to figure out exactly how efficient was it spent, like what is the marketing efficiency ratio, what is the blended ROAS for this month. I think we always have a big caveat, and the client understands that when we look back in 60, 90 days, we're going to see likely a higher return for that month. And so I think it depends on how they're tracking performance, but at least with this one client, like it's very clear the cart sales, it's very clear the sales qualified leads, and it's very clear what those closed won quotes are. For them, they do like to measure strictly off of a return on ad spend of basically cart sales and won quotes, just with the assumption that the return is going to look better in a couple months. And so we've kind of set our goals with the client accordingly there, where they have that understanding that it's not telling the full picture quite yet. And then one thing just to mention on your point about the sales qualified leads. So yeah, there's quite a few reports in Salesforce, and then their sales team will kind of run with those. I don't have, we generally don't have as much insight into kind of what that follow-up process looks like. I know once they're in there, they're calling them, they're emailing them, and then we see when they actually close. But you know, it's one of those areas where I would actually like to get more visibility with a lot of our B2B e-com clients of what are you guys doing with these? Like you see $1 million quote from Nike or from, I mean, we've seen some from Tesla. I think even like government, like the FBI, like you know, big organizations, right? Like huge organizations that come on the site and want to order. And so like as digital marketers, we kind of stay in our lane, so to speak. But it's an area that I would love to get more visibility into.
Man, I had to get out of that lane. I feel like me and Leo both were just like, because I just remember like in my career, like when I first started out in marketing, it was like I was working on a lot of lead gen. Like it was literally just 190% lead gen, right? And I just remember being so frustrated with the fact that like I'm getting leads coming in, but then I'm trying to have a conversation with like the business owner, for example, because a lot of these companies might be owner operated, right? So a lot of them will have a conversation with you for that weekly report, and I do it in air quotes because it's like then if I say, hey, you know, these leads are coming in, how's this? I just saw this one come in from yesterday. How's that one doing? I think we called them. I don't really know right now. And it's just like conversations like that. And so like we've made it an effort to actually start getting involved in the sales process because we want to know.
I think the disconnect, guys, I think that the disconnect is very costly, right? So like I just like want to share a couple of examples and I'm not going to reference the name of the client because Brian probably know. I think, you know, one of the things that people don't think about is, and Brian feel to jump in here as well, is the cost of bad lead, right? The cost of bad lead, it's like, for example, if you are a company that provides samples, send it away, and people are just getting free stuff of you, and all of a sudden you have your little consultant talking to them for a week trying to get something, and it's free, right? And the cost of someone who is not serious is really costly. Like it could be really expensive for a B2B situations, right? And that's why, like, I think it's not only important to ensure that you get as much good data in, and also data at every step along the way, including these maybe take longer, and we can talk a little bit about like how you can adjust in some of these longer periods as well. But also like ensure that you are very aggressively filter out unwanted leads so that the system is not producing more costs for your team to work on.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's like one of the biggest challenges with and frustrations for B2B owners, B2B e-com owners, B2B e-com marketers is how do I target like the right people, right? And not target the consumers. And if we take this example earlier of commercial trash cans, they're like $3,000 trash cans you would see at a stadium, you know, you would see at a university, etc. You're not buying one for your house, right? We find that people who are buying, you know, $3,000 trash cans will sometimes still search trash cans. Will sometimes still search the broadest category term. Of course, we'd love it if they always search commercial trash cans for an office, trash cans for stadiums, but that's just not the way it works. And so you end up with this situation where, you know, in some cases, 80, 90, 95% of your traffic is unqualified, right? It is people looking for a $40 kitchen trash can or bathroom trash can or whatever. And I will say for our clients, that is one of the biggest, you know, frustration points of, to your point, Leo, like bringing in good quality leads. They don't want their sales team to be, you know, contacting people who want $100 kitchen trash can or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's where, and I think I know we're going to get a little bit more kind of tactical on Google and Facebook, but I think that's where messaging comes in. Messaging is so important in any type of advertising, but with B2B e-com, it's even more important because you do need to be bidding on those broad terms, but you need to make it as clear as possible that it's not for your mom for her kitchen or for you for your bathroom.
Yeah,
whatever,
for
right?
sure. And this is a great segue for us to just jump into Google side. I know you're super excited about. I'd love for you to just give it straight to us. You know, like what do you see really works in Google side, and what is really just a waste of your time? you've been there, done that. Just give it straight to us.
Yeah, gosh. I do have a laundry list of things on the Google Ads side.
Give
I
me the
mean,
laundry
so
list, and I'll stop
yeah,
you when it's getting too low.
the laundry list. I'll give you the laundry list elevator pitch.
Okay, let's go.
Version. But so we talked a little bit about conversion tracking already, but I think that is important. Is just to bring in your cart sales, your sales that came from the quote form, as well as call revenue. So make sure you're bringing in all those and really giving credit to it. Because otherwise you're looking at these campaigns and you're saying, well, it's a 1-to-1 return, or it's a 0.8 return on ad spend. This is terrible, let's shut it down. But if you're truly looking at the picture with all the conversion data, it might be a 3 or 4 return on ad spend.
If someone tried to change their attribution setting on Google, would you say don't do it, just do DDA, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the time DDA is probably fine to run, but I think again it just goes back to kind of like what your sales cycle looks like there.
True. Yeah.
In terms of kind of like campaign types, so I kind of like B2B ecom because some of it is kind of old school of just good old fashioned search campaigns with exact and phrase match keywords, right?
Yeah.
Now,
and you don't suggest broad, right? Like, what's your point on broad?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it depends on where you're at, like how much you want to scale, and if you exhausted like your keyword research, your keyword selection on exact and phrase first, because what we see is that exact kind of functions like phrase used to, phrase kind of functions like broad used to. Broad is kind of just broader than before, and so I'd say like you're probably going to see some of your best returns on shopping campaigns, which we'll get into. But just in terms of like search campaigns, I would start with just exact match. And if it's working, if you're reaching your budgets, I think it makes sense to expand to phrase match. And those two match types can probably take you pretty far. If you're spending $500,000 a month and you have, exact and phrase broken out, you got standard shopping, then I think you could test out broad, right? Like not to say it couldn't work, but I wouldn't start there.
Would you aggressive or negative as well, like for B2B?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we have to be even more aggressive with B2B than we do with D2C e-com brands.
Because especially for overlap products, right?
Yeah. And I mean, kind of going back to what I had mentioned earlier with like getting on the broad category term, like trash cans, for example. We've done this experiment over and over and over again where, the founder or, one of the senior marketing people like says, we only want to show up on business trash cans, like, whatever a business trash can is, or commercial trash cans. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I get what they're saying, right? And so we've tried this where we've actually stopped bidding on trash cans like in exact match. We're not like we're adding it as a negative to a shopping campaign in exact match only. So we're not like blocking all terms that say trash cans, just that broad term. And we've seen volume drop off. Not too surprisingly. So you do still have to bid on those broad terms, but what we do and like in this particular example, have a separate campaign. Specifically for like those broader core keywords like trash cans, recycling bins, and then we have a separate one specifically for like that have that intent, that commercial intent. So like commercial trash cans, industrial trash cans is another big one.
I like that.
And this kind of goes across a lot of different verticals too within B2B ecom. Like we had one in the industrial freezer space. So again, it's like I'm not looking for a refrigerator for my kitchen. I'm looking for a $40,000 one for my lab, right? That I'm ordering. But again, just based on how people search, you do still have to be active on some of those core keywords, especially if you're looking to expand.
What do you think is like one of your number one ways though that you're actually like filtering out these people that are searching those same terms? Like, because the volume I'm imagining is coming from the broad terms, right?
Yeah.
Those are going to be your overwhelming. You can spend a lot of money on those. Where are you actually going in and going, okay, I'm going to now start filtering these people out, let's say like at the form level, or like where is that occurring for you?
It's a great question, and it's incredibly tough to do. I don't think we have the magic answer on that, honestly. I've talked to like a lot of B2B e-com companies that said if I could figure that out, like they'd pay me a lot of money. But
You're
so
just
what we try and do,
trying to find like a good calibration kind of in a way, the way I'm thinking
yeah,
about, right? Because the
yeah,
tighter you are, it's gonna get really strengthened on the volume, but then it's gonna get you much more accurate targeting.
yeah. And what I would say is like we don't have a perfect answer for that, but what we do is sometimes we will segment out the campaigns, and kind of to Leo's point, we can bid a lot lower on some of those category terms, or we can adjust like our TROAS bidding. So at least we're not overpaying for some of those like core category terms that we know people like, I don't know, Williams Sonoma, or like I can't think, but I don't think Bed Bath & Beyond is around anymore. But some of these like Target or whatever, like we don't want to compete with them on those. And to be honest, like shopping, which I know we'll get into in a second here, is a lot bigger focus on the spend, right? Like for the non-brand search that we do run, that's one way that we can control that, is we have like those commercial terms in a separate campaign or separate ad group you could do, and just set those bids accordingly. So
let's jump into shopping. So PMAX or no PMAX?
Yeah, so actually we've done a little bit of everything. Some B2B e-com advertisers, it only works with standard shopping. We're only able to get a good return there. I would say I would lean towards standard shopping with B2B e-commerce.
Really? Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I would, and I mean I'll give you some examples of where PMAX has worked. I mean we're not one or the other.
Are you doing anything treatment to the PMAX differently, like as well?
Like a feed only.
Yes. So we experimented quite a bit, and actually for this trash can recycling client, we went from all standard shopping to smart shopping. If you guys remember the transition to smart shopping first, and then to Performance Max. And some of the senior leaders there were very, very nervous, hated the idea of smart shopping, fought it vehemently, and we kind of said, well, just the way it's moving, we're moving in that direction. And then same with PMAX, and ironically, they're one where PMAX works really well. So we have gotten the client to agree and run with mostly PMAX. We do have a few standard shopping campaigns. In some cases, as we know, one of the weaknesses with PMAX is kind of how do you get spend on certain products. I think that's a big challenge. And so in their case, we're running mostly PMAX structure right now. A lot of it is kind of segmented out by manufacturer. Some of it is segmented out by margin or price point. Sure. But then if the client says to us hey, we want to we've gotten 0 clicks on these SKUs over the last 90 days, that's when we'll break out standard shopping. And we'll still utilize bidding strategies like a TROAS to control that.
So it sounds like what you're saying, Brian, is control, right? I mean, it comes down to it. Like what Angel was saying earlier, the feed only PMAX, right? For our listener, Brian, were you explaining a little bit about what feed only in this case is?
Yeah, so feed only is it's a. Let me see if I can put this correctly, but it's as close to standard shopping as you can get without being standard shopping, even though that's not totally true because the shopping
because we don't know the black box of the PMAX.
Yeah,
where Google is we spend it over here, where is it?
Yeah,
we have a script. We have the Mike Rowe script, but it's still even that is going to have some. We're not going to have a 100% visibility.
But
into it.
back to what back to what you're saying is I think even back to your search point, I think what you are really saying here is that you have all these levels, right? Even upgraded to 2025 version of, search type and PMAX and standard shopping, they all give you a little bit more control versus less control on certain parameters, but they're all going to also have a consequential volume that you're going to get as well. Some of it I think is more of a budget stuff as well. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. And I mean, just to add on to that, but yeah, a feed only PMAX campaign is basically saying I only want to show my shopping ads, you're coming from Merchant Center with the product image. I don't want some text ads showing up on display side. I don't want some AI generated images or videos showing up on YouTube. that was something that was happening a lot right when PMAX launched, that it was just automatically creating videos. And
so you're purposely trying to limiting these, right, from the asset.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure the listener are aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, Angel referenced it too. Mike Rhodes has a good script to see where your PMAX campaign is spending. Is it 90% on shopping and 10% YouTube, Gmail, some other, or is it 40% on shopping? I'd say if you're not at 70, 80% or higher shopping inventory with your PMAX campaign, then it's definitely worth looking at moving to like a feed-only PMAX campaign. Because that does give you, like you said, Leo, it gives you a little bit more control. It is within the PMAX campaign structure, so there's some benefit there in that's like Google's baby these days, right? And it's making changes specifically to PMAX. They've got some other new campaign types. If you want true full control, that's where I do like standard shopping. And so for us, it's not like a one size fits all. It really depends on the client and what they've seen historically. So like if we were to take on a new B2B e-com client, like we're going to audit their account and take a look at how PMAX is working, how shopping is working. If they're running both, is there an advantage to doing one or the other? But yeah, I would say with B2B e-com, like the more control you can have, the better.
And do you even use the PMAX campaign type for lead gen? Like when you're trying to get more of the form fills, or you're like,
no.
That's a controversial one out there too. I think
very
I think it comes down to it's the quality side.
Yeah.
Right.
And for a lot of our e-com buyers, or e-com clients, they're honestly not thinking as much about lead gen, even though they are collecting sales qualified leads. They're just still focused on e-commerce revenue, right? So I'm not to say you couldn't get it to work with PMAX and lead gen. And if you read LinkedIn posts of people, everybody says they figured it out. I haven't seen it yet.
I attempted it one time because I was like, all right, like it's worth a test. And the reason why I like strategically did that test was because this person I was working with, their form, they sold like range hoods, like custom metal range hoods for your kitchen, right? And these are people like answering, hey, the top side of the hood is 32 inches. You have to answer a 9, 10, 11, 12 like question form. And so having that many questions, I was like, all right, well, this is going to be able to like filter people out. And funny enough, I started getting people that looked real. Like they literally are answering, all right, 32 inches here, 38 inches here. This is going to be this color, this material. Like they're answering it in depth. And then
they're getting smarter.
And then I'm talking to the owner. He's like, yeah, these leads are crap. He's like, no one's like answering. He's like, and I'm like, but they look so good on the surface, but they're just not. I don't know what it is. If it's just I'm assuming obviously it's like the inventory type, but yeah, I couldn't even get it to work. And it was like, I'm having people answer 10 questions, right? Like, but
yeah.
Angel, you're also hitting one point. I think maybe it's a segue for us to roll into Facebook world, because I think on Facebook world you do have a little bit of control over, like we talk about instant form leads options there as well. Brian, curious your take on what is your ad structure like for your big spenders out there, your big whales?
Yeah. So a lot of it is still pretty heavy on DPA. And so I think if you're B2B e-com and you're not doing DPA or dynamic product ads, people call them catalog ads, I think you're missing out a ton. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes for B2B e-com, they are heavier on Google. Maybe they don't think Facebook works as well. And so we've gotten in there and taken a look at Commerce Manager, and it's just a mess. Like the feed, might not be even working properly. So a big percentage is going to be catalog ads. So kind of similar to on the Google side, where whether it's Performance Max or standard shopping, those tend to take up 50-60% of overall spend for B2B e-com.
So that's kind of your equivalent standard shopping on the Meta side.
And then there's a piece too we didn't mention on Google, but it applies to Facebook too. And for B2B, depending on the organization and their sales team, sometimes day party makes sense. I know in the D2C world, everyone says go broad, just target, just do broad. It's the creative. if your sales team is not answering and you rely on phone calls, you don't want to be serving ads necessarily at like 10 at night. So that can sometimes depend on which campaign type you go with on Facebook. Like ASC, at least to my knowledge, I don't believe you can do day parting with that. So that's why in a lot of cases we are using just like a manual campaign, conversions campain, and running DPA ads in there. So that really makes up like I'd say for a lot of our clients, the most amount of spend. And then for non-DPA ads, whether we're talking about static images or videos, a lot of the times we'll use like a manual campaign there as well, conversions campaign, and and sometimes we will test out broad even with B2B e-commerce. It doesn't work as well as D2C, obviously. I know lookalikes aren't as good as they were 5 years ago, 5+ years ago.
But all this myths are getting busted.
Yeah.
We can talk more about that too.
Yeah. But we've seen, and it depends on their customer list. If it's like if they've got 100 customers, it's not going to work. But if they've got 10,000, 20,000 people in their customer list, we've actually seen pretty good success doing a lookalike built off of their customer list, and then running statics or running videos there. So it
sounds like you do the combo of like dynamic, and then you do a bunch of manual, right? That's kind of most of your structure.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have done a ton on the B2B e-com side on Facebook, but I would just kind of curious your thoughts, there.
I just have one point to add. I think it's important to, and I think you probably see this as well. I think it's important to make sure you check your attribution settings.
Yes.
You want to be very, very stingy. And I think if you also are running on Google, this is even bigger problem. So just for the listeners, like Facebook has this click attribution as well as impression, and they have a window. And if it's up to Facebook, Facebook is gonna retarget the whole world just to get you whatever the credit they can get, right? And especially you got your Google running, so you're now getting a lot of these traffic just like potent, right? Facebook is just there to claim the credits, and if your attribution is very wide, it's gonna make your campaign really just keep self patting on the back, say I'm doing so great, but I'm actually doing horrible.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think that even goes for D2C e-com. I think that goes for lead gen. I think that goes for a lot of different types of marketing. We generally don't even like the one-day view through. We like to keep it, pretty click-based if we can. Oftentimes it's going to be 7-day click. Obviously you can adjust that. Again, it's going to be different based on your client's sales cycle, whether you want to lengthen that out. But yeah, Leo, I'm totally with you on it's not really going to make sense to include view-throughs. It's like you said, it's almost always just pads the numbers.
You want to force the system to work harder, basically, right? Don't claim the credits, And then I think a lot of people hate retargeting, and they couldn't explain it. It's the same idea, right? Retargeting, it's in Facebook, it's like literally the same thing of like have your warm list audience to go out there to say you did a great job, and then what's the point of that? Like, if you want to scale, you have to spend your marketing money and testing on your cold audience and figure out how to talk to them and attract them, and that's really where the growth is coming from.
Totally.
I was gonna say, even in the B2B world, like, do you find, because I know in B2C it's a big issue right now where it's like a lot of people don't even track new customer acquisition, right? Like they don't even know how to separate the metrics from each other and actually like look at that, right?
Yeah.
But in the B2B e-commerce world, do you have that happening a lot too, where there's a lot of where you find Facebook or even Google going after a lot of existing customers, or do you not even really have a problem with new customer acquisition versus like returning customers because the sales cycle is like way longer?
No, we definitely do. And it's same thing where a lot of people aren't tracking it properly, or people are worried about the wrong metrics. People are worried just about ROAS, right, and not thinking about new customer acquisition. Now, I'd say, again, it depends on the client. A lot of our clients, though, they do have that, repeat buyer maybe once a year. A lot of times it does align with when they get their budget, when they have to plan their budget and order like industrial supplies or whatnot. So in a lot of cases, they're not as concerned. They'll take that existing customer because they're going to put a 30K order in, once a year. But yeah, you bring up a great point that people aren't tracking it properly in terms of new customer acquisition, and I think it goes back toward not at all, or not even aware of it.
every account you look at it, and then the conversion section is a mess. Like everything is a primary conversion. There's no priority or anything.
And I wanted to mention, just add on to something you said, Leo, that just got me thinking too on the whole creative, the whole creative piece with Facebook, right? Like, I know in your guys' first podcast you talked about like ugly ads. I know that's kind of a common theme out there, and that those work a lot better. UGC creative, but with B2C brands, I think everyone gets that now. Everyone says, okay, I'm making a TikTok style video, whatever, short.
What about B2B?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like, it is so tough, tough to get any of that creative, and I mean like. I get it in a way, but I feel like a lot of these B2B e-com companies, that they a lot of them don't believe Facebook works like as well as Google, and so they spend a lot more on Google.
Are you saying they're more serious business people and not looking at these authentic ads as potent as they should be?
well, I mean, we have some people that think like business owners aren't even on Facebook, and I'm like, no, they are. They are on there. Trust me. Yes. And so what I'm thinking is just like, man, there's a niche here for B2B e-com creative, right? Because like, think about it. I mean, like for this, I mentioned a few clients, like one being commercial trash cans, one being like commercial or scientific, like refrigerators, freezers.
Sure.
I mean, it's not going to be, somebody in their house making a quick video about like a supplement or whatever, but it's going to, it could be a lab manager, right? That's like, hey, I always order from X brand, it's better for this reason. It's still a short 30-second, 45-second clip. Then we can run in demand gen on Google, which is essentially YouTube campaigns. Then we can run.
So you actually are saying you still want that authentic vibe, right? Just being relevant.
Totally.
Like someone actually demonstrate they know what they're talking about, right? They got the right hat. They're walking in the right place, right? They are pinpointing, talking about the right issues that you also feel like this guy or this gal gets me, right?
Totally, dude. And I think it's even more important for B2B because there's a lot of big players out there. Like we always run into like Uline. I'm sure almost everyone has come across Uline. Web Restaurant Store is a really big player. And then they sell like everything. And any B2B like niche you have, like Uline's gonna sell it, and Web Restaurant Store is gonna sell it. There's some others out there. But basically it's like if you're deciding why should I order from this company that specializes in freezers or commercial trash cans, like I think you need to have that video. And it could be a testimonial, it could be a founder video, right? That you see a lot in the B2C space. So I think there's just like a huge gap specifically in that niche, right? Like B2B e-com UGC almost, or B2B e-com creative.
I love that.
I feel like one thing I'm going to make a prediction for is going to be comedy style ads in B2B. That would be.
I would love it. I want to do it. Let's do it.
Like there's this one guy that I follow on LinkedIn, and he's like more of like the B2B marketer, and like, but I love watching him because he doesn't act like the regular B2B marketer. Like he is more like personal. Like me talking to you, it's like you have a smile, like you're personable. You can, like there's probably some comedy gold that you got going around. And it's like,
dude,
with that guy, with that guy's like he doesn't block it out.
I feel like personally, I don't like professionally and personally as well. I do feel like this, I don't know the right format, but this idea of authenticity, I think we can all think on that same way, right? Like, what is truly get you like stressed out, as a business owner, and what is the solution you're looking for in someone speaking your language? That communication that demand a need in the most authentic, direct way, no flashy just because we have all these tools and ChatGPT can create 5 ads in a row. Like, I think if you can crack the code or whatever that is, right? then I think that's where probably the all the ads, Google and Facebook, it's kind of like trending towards.
No,
Yeah.
it makes total sense too. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. Go ahead, Angel.
I was gonna say like it makes total sense because even when like I do cold calls, right? And I'll cold call people and it's like you only have so much time in front of this executive C-level director or whatever it may be, right? So I've had to optimize and how do I get in front of this person, and he gives me 30 seconds of his time, automatically, right? So like as soon as they answer the phone, I say, hey, listen, is this blah blah? They go, yeah, this is him. How can I help you? I'll say, hey, this is Angel. Listen, you're gonna hate me right now. It's like this is a 100% a cold call. Either A, you can give me 30 seconds of your time. I'll tell you exactly why I'm calling, or B, you can feel free to hang up now. And it's like such a disruptor to them that I kid you, like 9 out of 10 times they're gonna go, good one. Go ahead. What do you got? And it's like it's because I'm doing something that's different than every other caller where they're like, hi, this is Janet from blah blah blah. How you doing today? And it's like they don't have time for all that,
It's like so obvious, right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like it's so obvious. Like, yes, I'm a cold caller, and it's so funny because the cold call then turns into not even feeling like a cold call. And this is something interesting because in a good ad, how do we know it's a good ad? People don't even see it as an ad, right? And it's the same thing.
And I think that's kind of go back to what we were saying earlier: ugly ad, authentic ads, ads that speak the hook, speak the pain, and I think it's literally the new message I would say for every marketing platform. It's like let's all be more real and be more authentic, whatever the format is. Not everyone is asking for a beautifully produced video, I know we are getting a little bit close time here. I want to leave with a couple of questions, just switch the pivotal here, Brian. Kind of more personal side. Will you share with people? I know you and Delton are over this, like we are a small agency, but you're already, like beyond that point. You got enough clientele and you're doing pretty solid at this point. I know that. And you're probably one of the biggest agency in Denver growth-wise, fast growth-wise. What do you do as an owner, scale? What are you spending your time on now?
Gosh, so sales, partnerships, I'd say like it's always sales, it's always business development sales, right?
Okay.
But partnerships is something that I spend a lot of time on, is trying to find like Shopify development agencies out there, and if we can work together to share clients, to share services. Those I've been working on the last couple years, but real recently it's actually been a lot of process, which historically I wasn't a huge process guy,
I know that.
and still I fight it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I just want to go into an account and I know what to do, and I can make changes. And so we have recently moved over to HubSpot, and I'm kind of a newbie with CRM, so I've been over the last like 3 months been all in on HubSpot, building workflows, specifically of whether someone opts in on our website, make sure that they're part of a workflow. Not annoy them, but try to get them to book a discovery call, with us and kind of move them down the funnel. That's an area that we just didn't do properly in the past. And I know that's kind of marketing 101, right? Is like have an opt-in form, follow up.
You don't think
with
about
them,
that
right?
at the beginning.
No.
You just
You're just grinding.
At this level, you got to think about how you can actually scale more efficient.
Yeah, exactly. And then two, just, there's so many opportunities that we've gotten in new clients where it's like, oh, I talked to this person 18 months ago, and they remembered me and they came back, and it's like, well, if I had a workflow where they get emailed maybe once a quarter, just a friendly check-in, some people like send out gifts or whatever too, just a reminder kind of thing. So I think like for me that's probably one of the biggest things that I'm still looking to improve on, is how do I really tap into my entire network? What does that communication look like for each group, whether it's an old coworker, current client, old client, strategic partner, referral partner, right? And so that's definitely still a work in progress for us. But on the process side, Asana, and that's something I've used on and off over the years. There's a million other project management software out there, but for us, we just decided on Asana, and then time tracking. I feel like I'm going down the list of really boring things.
but that sounds like you're
Yeah,
at the point where like I would consider you kind of at this point where you scale to the next level, right? It sounds like you're
yeah,
investing a lot in your infrastructure, software,
yeah,
process to tighten up. And I know we were involved in some like projects trying to use Zapier to build stuff as well. So
yeah,
love
definitely.
love to see more in that. I want to completely step outside of these conversations and just totally personal question at this point. So just curious about what what one advice would you give to the younger self, let's say around COVID or when you and Dalton just started and there's all this uncertainty? Like, what advice would you give to the younger entrepreneur, Brian Lasonde?
I mean, these days it's learn AI really well, right? It would have been different if it was back in COVID. And but yeah, these days I really think it is like learn AI as best as you can. And I was even going to mention to you in your previous question, Leo, like so on the process stuff, that's all important, that's all good. You do have to do that to scale. But I know Angel mentioned Mike Rhodes. I just like signed up, and this is not a pay. I'm not getting paid by Mike Rhodes or anything here. But I did just sign up for. He has like an AI for agencies course, and so that's an area that we're looking into. I think another bucket that we as an agency need to really move toward is how do we best use AI, which everyone's trying to figure out right now. But yeah, dude, to me, I think that's it's almost more important now than learning Google Ads or Facebook ads, right? Like you need to know Google Ads and Facebook ads, but by the end of this year, I think everybody's predicting, or it's maybe even a fact now, that you're going to be able to check out on ChatGPT. So when holiday season hits, you don't need to go to the brand website or go to Google. Like you're looking for like Christmas gifts for whoever, and you can do your research in like social commerce is been a buzzword for a while, but like I think it's finally here, and I think it's going to be here for this holiday season where people are buying directly on ChatGPT. So for somebody who's like 18 years old, 20, 22, whether they're going to college or not, doesn't really matter if you're looking to like get into digital marketing. Just start building up like side clients, even or clients, and even like what I did when we were just starting out was like nonprofits are a really good way. It's not e-commerce, but Google Grants has a program that give away like $10,000 a month to nonprofits, and so that's a way to get started. What's that?
I say it's free 99 too.
Free 99, dude. It actually used to be.
It sounds like what you're saying is like run, right?
Yeah, run. Yeah, like run into. Don't run away. Run into AI.
Isn't that funny that we started out this show with the question of you're asking me how much percentage of ChatGPT using? Is that crazy?
Leo.
Coming to a
dude, Leo, it's so funny. It's like an end cap or whatever to like this call, but then I literally was talking the other day about how I'm gonna post the same thing again, maybe this week, and then I'm even gonna write a post about it. I'm gonna do like an analysis of it too, and talk about how I was wrong, you were right.
I hope you do it. Angel and I are gonna hold you accountable. And with that, we actually are gonna. You got some last word to say, Brian, before I close out?
Well, I was just gonna ask just real quickly on what your guys' thoughts are.
We're gonna cut this part out. I'm just
kidding. You can do that. You can do that. But your guys' thoughts on what's the best thing to learn if you're just starting out with no experience. If you're 20 years old and you want to start out, like is it try to manage some Google Ads campaigns, some Facebook ad campaigns? Is it learn LLMs really well? Like what do you guys think?
Damn.
I go first.
Angel, you go first.
So I'm a bit younger anyway. So I mean, like I'm 24, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Funny enough, like when I got started, like I haven't even been to college, man. So I don't even have a college degree, and I got started when I was like 17. So it's like to me, anyone can get started, because even me getting started, I closed the first deal in my high school bathroom. So like I still was in school at the time, you know what I'm saying? So it's like to me, number one, there's no excuses. Like you can learn every single aspect of Google Ads, any form of marketing online. So I would say get really become obsessed with knowledge. Obsessed. Like there was a point where I didn't even listen to music for like 2 years. It was just straight podcast and Audible, and that was it. So it's like, to me, the number one way to get started in this is figure out who is the best, and you feel like, hey, like this is a person that really understands Google Ads, really understands Facebook ads. I would just say choose one platform. Follow that person, spend money on the education. That was another thing that I didn't do in the beginning. I was cheap. I was super cheap, and I regret it because just spending like it sounds crazy, but spending $400 for like an hour consultation with somebody that's 10 years, 5 years ahead of you, to me, that was like the best money that I spent. Like I learned things that I would have never learned before. So I would say like just get obsessed with education. Don't be afraid to spend money, and also don't be afraid to like take a chance. Like I skipped a class, and I've never skipped a class in my life. I thought my mom was just gonna kill me, but she didn't find out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then by the end of that, I had a client. So it was just like, don't be afraid. It would be like another one.
What class did you skip?
Gym class.
yeah. Of all the classes to skip, that's a pretty good one, right?
Yeah. And plus, the teacher was, I was on the wrestling team, and the teacher was the wrestling coach. So I knew, even if I got in trouble, I'm the coach. Come on, man. I was just, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, that's hilarious.
I would say, I mean, I really don't know. The world is such chaotic in terms of what, knowledge to grow. I would say, like, just from pure marketing point of view, I would just say go small to go big, meaning that don't think of yourself as a Mr. All to solve all problem. If you ever want to be successful in anything in marketing, you should start to think about the smallest possible part, like smallest. If it can get smaller, then think smaller. Like maybe just target your little neighborhood people in a few people. Like think of a need that is the smallest, and then think how you can help them, and then try to reach them. That would be the formula, I would say. Don't try to be a generalist. Yeah. With that said, I'm gonna close this episode of Hug Your Metrics. Brian, we love you, we appreciate you, and there's a lot of golden nuggets. We can't wait to dig out and share more with the listeners. Thank you so much, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. See you next time.